welcome to the Women Money Business Podcast. I'm Dr. Priti Basra, and I've got with me today Raquel Gomes from Stafi, which is a virtual staffing solution. So would you like to explain what you do, Raquel, what you do, what your business does, and how you sort of founded it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me here today. So, Staffy was born to help small business owners and especially women to not have to sacrifice your life in the name of success. Because when you start a business, there's so much knowledge that you need. You don't have experience in where to find good talent, how to train the talent, how to properly onboard, how to continue to offer that environment where people want to stay because they're continuously learning. All of these skills, usually you're not, unless you went to business school, you're not taught in school. Like you were a doctor, for example, you went to school to learn how to become a doctor, not how to build a business.
Mm-hmm.
And we work with many business owners, different types of business owners, but especially we work a lot with law firm owners. And it's entrepreneurs and business owners, we work the hardest, right? It's very hard to find a balance in life. Especially as an entrepreneur. So with Staffy, when we are providing not only a great talent that is much more affordable because they're based out of Latin America, they're fluent in English, they have a college degree, they have years of experience, they're high-end professionals that we're providing, but the cost benefit is great for the small business owner. And besides providing you with this great talent, we're also providing you with all of the support around this talent to make sure that you are properly onboarding the talent, you are managing them correctly, you are training them through the Staff University. So we have a lot of support that we provide to the business owner so that they feel that they're not alone. We are an HR partner in all aspects. Throughout the hiring and the managing and the maintaining, the keeping of that staff. So that's how we alleviate the business owner from doing all those things so they can use their time wisely, right, to grow their business and to do the things that they're good at, things of high impact to their business. Does that give you a good idea?
I think that sort of sums it up really nicely. So in terms of on a day-to-day, for example, what could they specifically do? Like, for example, the teams that you got at the moment when they're helping law firms, what sort of workload do they just answer the phones, or do they do paperwork, or is it more in depth than that, or does it vary for each firm?
Very good question. So we divide the law firm into 4 different areas, which could be could serve for any business. So client facing, administrative, legal, and marketing. And within these 4 areas, we've identified 68 tasks that can easily be delegated. And once you're interested in working with Staffy, we walk you through an initial strategy session, which is free, by the way, regardless if you choose to work with us or not. In that strategy session, we take you through all of the tasks that can easily be delegated in any business, so that you have an idea of what type of talent you need to hire, not only from a background and experience, but personality and soft skills. They are so important, right? If you need someone to delegate mostly client-facing work, that person has to have a type of personality who thrives from interacting with humans, who is highly empathetic, who wants to help others, who scores very high in communication skills. So those are the things we're looking for. And that's why it's so important to define the role before you go and hire, because a lot of the turnover happens from not putting the right person in the right seats. So we can help in anything that falls into those 4 areas. So if you need someone to help you with email, to clear your inbox, to take you to inbox 0, with scheduling, collecting payments, collections, bookkeeping, all of that we can provide. So the skill set of who you need is going to be defined based on what are the things that you want to remove from your plate.
And I suppose in a way, sometimes when you, and just speaking from personal experience, when you are a business owner, sometimes you don't know what you need removing. Sometimes you need that cleanse from somebody that is external to your business, that can come in like yourself, that can do like almost like a health check of the
Yeah,
business and say, do you know what, guys, you're spending 7 hours doing this a week, whereas when you're spending 7 hours doing that, you could be spending 7 hours doing something else that's more productive. And I
yes,
think like tasks that you've just mentioned, like bookkeeping, collections, even like scheduling stuff, marketing, it's something that you can absolutely delegate as a
yeah,
business. But I think having that confidence to know, like, should I delegate it? Because I think as an entrepreneur, you do think, I need to do everything. I need to do everything because I need to make sure it works.
yeah,
And I think from with what you mentioned in terms of doing that, I mean, I'm going to call it a health check because I work in healthcare, but almost doing like a health check of the business and saying, do you know what, like, we can absolutely do your marketing. And I suppose with you mentioned that you've got the four different pillars there, and I suppose you would swap out the law for whatever a specific profession there is, be it healthcare, be it accountancy or architectural, whatever.
absolutely. Any business needs someone dealing with clients. Any business needs someone doing administrative work. Any
Yeah,
business needs someone invoicing, collecting payments. Any business needs, all of those things. So it's not specific to law firms. The fact that we have 200 law firms right now as clients is because a lot of the talent that we also provide, they are lawyers in their home country and they serve as paralegals for the law firms. But
wow.
depending on what you need, if you need someone to do marketing, they're going to have a degree in marketing or something related.
Yeah.
So any business needs help in those different areas. Maybe not so much in the legal, and that, yes, that comes with specializing for law firms, but any business needs help with someone that does client relations, right? Who answers the phone. Any business needs someone who does marketing related work, administrative related work, scheduling, receiving emails, collecting payments, invoicing, and so on. So we are with different types of business. Our bread and butter is small businesses of all areas. We specialize in law firms, but we have different types of businesses as clients for sure.
And I suppose what I suppose if I'm putting myself into that situation as a business owner, my immediate concern, maybe not concerns, but my questions would be, how long would it take to get somebody to be basically well versed in your business? Like how much time would be need to do and needs to be invested so that team member, although they're not obviously face to face with us, to integrate into the team. Do you have like a ballpark figure as to how long that normally takes?
Yeah, so we work with with talent in Latin America, and we have a very thorough process for vetting and making sure we're only hiring the best talent available in Latin America. So the vetting and the screening takes us about 5 weeks, where we do a lot of evaluation in terms of their experience, calling the universities, making sure they got the diplomas that they say they got, calling 5 years of employment to see if they were good workers before, if this previous employers would rehire them. But one thing that is very important that we do that is makes us very different is evaluating their personalities and their soft skills. So how good are they with communication, attention to detail, problem solving? What else? There's so many things we check for. Empathy is something we check for, because even though someone has the experience in something and you will interview them, most people will be very pleasant during an interview, and they're going to tell you what you want to
Of
hear.
course, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's whenever they are on the job is a whole different story, right? Will they actually do what they say they would do? Would they be good at it? And will they stay? Will they like that task? So that's why it's so important that whenever you're hiring someone for your business, you need to evaluate their personality. So we run personality assessments, behavioral assessments, and we have all sorts of assessments to check on their soft skills. And back to what you were saying, that sometimes as a business owner, we don't really know who we need. We have an idea, but it's like a blur in our mind. So that's the reason why we created this initial strategy session, is to help the business owner have clarity in what is it they need next, what type of skills, because maybe you need someone to do a hybrid. Oh, I need someone that will do client facing and marketing work, or you need a hybrid, someone that is going to do marketing and admin, for example. And that will require a specific skill set and soft skills for a person that will not only thrive on the job, but they will stay because they will like doing it. People won't stay long if they don't like doing what you put them to do.
Yeah,
We've made this mistake. We've been doing staffing for 10 years. So we've learned, I'm very big into learning with our mistakes. And as a business owner, you know that
yeah,
if
yeah,
that's one thing in the life of an entrepreneur, is that you're always going to make mistakes, but
absolutely.
you got to learn from them to not
Yeah,
repeat them.
yeah,
Right. So that's something where it's very big for me in our culture here, Staffy. So one thing we do is whenever we make a mistake, we own it and we say, okay, what was the mistake? We say the mistake out loud and we talk about, okay, how would you do this differently? How would you do this differently so that mistake won't happen again? Never is a big word, right? You don't know
yeah,
if
yeah,
it's
yeah,
never
yeah,
going to happen. It's,
yeah.
but we'll try our best.
Minimize the risk. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So one thing you mentioned is a lot of our clients come to us and they think they need Y. They end the strategy session needing Z,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
And that's kind of what I suppose I'm sort of picked up on earlier, that what we think we need might not be actually what we actually need. And I think from what you've just mentioned, what really sticks out to me is the soft skills check, because exactly like you've said, when I interview, and after 10 years of interviewing, like you sort of think, oh, I think I've got this person, and you employ them, and then it's maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in, maybe a few months in, you just think, oh my god, like this isn't what they said they would do in the interview, this isn't what the CV says. And then you're a little bit stuck, really, because then you've got to then have that awkward conversation. Either you've got to try and train them and build them, but as a small business owner, let's be honest, you don't have time. You don't have time to like try and like mollycoddle and build somebody up, unfortunately, that you think was okay on paper. Because, but then you don't, you obviously, they've invested in you, you've invested in them, but then business moves so quickly, it's difficult to then sort of hold the hand when they've said they can do it. Whereas from what you've mentioned, that sort of 5 week almost vetting process and building up process, you're kind of cutting all of that out for the business owner. I feel like you're already doing that before they come to us. And that, I think, in itself is very unique, because like you say, on paper they can look great, but it's those soft skills. And for me, it's the empathy and communication. Obviously, I'm in healthcare, so empathy and communication are key. So if I was sort of told that I can hire somebody and they, performed on the personality testing and everything like you've mentioned, and they've got communication and empathy, that's way above what I would normally be looking at or dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And the fact that you've obviously got so much, like a decade of experience of doing that, I think speaks for itself. And with you mentioning that you've obviously, as entrepreneurs, small business owners, the mistakes are part of the journey. You have to make that mistake to get up to the next level, and then you learn from that mistake. That mistake may happen again, but then you tweak it and you keep going. And I think obviously you've done that in your business over the past 10 years. You sort of looked at it, refined it, honed it, and then and gone again. And I think the very much for me, the USP that when you're talking to yourself is that soft skills, because I don't feel that's addressed very much in other sectors in terms of when it's sort of virtual staffing and things like that. So that's really special, I think, for me anyway, as a business owner. What I wanted to ask was, how was Staffy born? Like, how did that happen? Because obviously you've been doing it for within the last decade. What made that happen for you?
Okay. So I was born and raised in the south of Brazil, and I moved to the US to pursue an MBA in international business. And I climbed the corporate ladder and became an executive, managing large teams. And I was working really hard. I was in the mindset that I had to be a workaholic in order to be successful. I mean, I was raised by a father who was also an entrepreneur, successful business owner, and also a workaholic. So I had that role model at home. And I was following his steps, right? Until I became pregnant. I don't know if you've seen my LinkedIn, but there is a picture where I was 8 months pregnant and I had four computers. I was working with four computers at the same time
Yep.
because I had that mindset that I also had to be perfect, that have everything had to be done by me in order to be perfect.
Yep.
I was far away from being able to delegate anything. And then I had Sarah was born. She is going to be 9 now. Um, and I was back to work, back to the rhythm of things, and I had to go on a business trip because I was traveling practically every week before I had a baby. I was traveling a lot internationally as well. And I had to travel. My husband also had a big job as an executive for large corporate America, and we had to travel at the same time. And I had a problem. I had that issue that I brought to my boss. But to my surprise, he was very disinterested. He pretty much ignored my problem because we didn't have who to leave our daughter with. And that was something that took me to my breaking point. I was already reevaluating everything and feeling like I had lost passion for my career, something that would give me such pleasure before. But I think I got to my breaking point of like working too hard, not being able to delegate. And also now I had this, I had something new to this equation, which was our daughter. And that's when I had to take a break. And when I came back, I mean, we already, because my partner is also my husband, and we started Staffy, and it was under another brand. But while we were working at large corporate America, but when I came back from my break, when I quit my job and I came back, it was a whole different messaging around creating this infrastructure that supports small business owners, that allows people to delegate, because what I've lived in terms of overwork, not being able to delegate, is something that I didn't want for anybody else, because it's something that really gets to you mentally, emotionally, and physically, because I believe we're all one. And I wanted to put together in place a type of support that allows small business owners, especially women, to feel that we have their back, that they can trust and rely on us, that with Staffy is not going to be a person that I'm assigning to your business. It's much beyond that. And that's why we have a lot of support to the small business owner through our client success team. The client success team is an incredible team of professionals that have years of experience, even as COOs for small businesses. And they are there. They're also leadership coaches that help you with that, how to become better at delegating. They help you with different pain points you might have in your business. And we have an entire support around all of the virtual staff that is in Latin America. We have a university they go through. They have to graduate with a 90% or more in order to stay and to be assigned to a business owner. We have coaches that are working around them on a daily basis. We have psychologists on staff. They're helping them with their mindset. We have marketing experts who are helping them and coaching them if they are assigned as a marketing specialist or marketing assistant to a business, and so on. For the law firms, we have senior paralegals who are helping and mentoring the paralegals assigned to the law firms. So we have a lot of support. And this entire infrastructure was put in place because I lacked that support for myself, as an executive. I didn't have, it was hard for me to trust and delegate. I did a lot of personal work on myself personally. And I always recommend, to invest in yourself. I believe is the best investment you can do.
Absolutely.
And in order to get to a point where you can trust and delegate, you have to do internal work as well. But once you're ready, we have the infrastructure in place so you don't feel you're alone. Because I know as a business owner, especially as a woman, it can be a lonely place. Sometimes you don't have people to talk to, you don't have a partner, to bounce ideas off. So that's why we have this entire infrastructure that our clients see us as an extension of their business from an HR perspective.
So I've got a couple of questions based on what you've just said, if that's okay, Raquel. So the first question was, obviously, for me, from what I've heard, your daughter was the pivotal moment. You having been pregnant with your daughter was a pivotal moment. Do you think if she didn't come along, would you still have quit?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I
Mhm.
think I would. I
Yeah,
think I would. Yeah.
yeah.
I think I
But
would.
would you have quit at that time, or do you think you would have kept going for a little bit longer?
I would have gone for longer, for
Longer,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I found that with other people that I've spoken to on my podcast, that, and including myself, I'm included. I think when you become a mum, a mother, and that doesn't mean when you physically got the baby in your hand. When you know you're pregnant, I think everything changes. Like, even things that you would probably deal with or put up with, all of a sudden there's like a switch that goes off that thinks, you know what, no, I'm not doing that. And everything's obviously heightened. I don't know whether that's the hormones kicking in or whatever. And I think it's so inspiring to see so many women that I've spoken with and personally know that the pregnancy has been their turning point, and then they've gone on to be incredible. They were incredible already, but then they've absolutely skyrocketed. And that's why I think, from what you've just mentioned in your story, that really resonates with me, that it looks like your daughters just propelled your life, really. And I think that's something really special that obviously sometimes we don't think about as business owners, because you're in that business mindset and you're sort of growing. And I think it's nice to just have a point to reflect, to think, do you know what, if it wasn't for her, maybe I wouldn't be sat here doing what I'm doing and leading this team and speaking, to a worldwide audience about what I do. So I think that was just my question, to know, would you, I think I already knew the answer when you said, like, probably not, I would have gone a bit longer, because as women, I think, especially as females, you just put up with it. You just think it's okay, it'll get better, or I need to do this, and you don't put yourself first. And so that was the first question. And then the other question was, in terms of, you mentioned sort of leadership and investing in yourself, which I 100% agree with. But how do you find in the corporate sector, I suppose, more than anything, that you've built this amazing, almost like, well, it's an institution, really, isn't it, what you've built? And you've got the coaching and you've got the mentoring, and you're not only supporting yourself, you're supporting your staff to be better staff for the people that they're supporting. But in the sector that you were in previously, did you have to make that investment yourself? And did you have to go out and look for a mentor or a leadership person or a coach there? Or was it provided for you within your role that you were doing?
Yeah. This is great, by the way. And you made me tear up.
Oh, bless you. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I
I
was
like
just I was
it.
just in
It's
the
good.
moment then. So, because I
Very
just think,
meaningful conversation, for sure.
oh,
No,
oh,
I,
thank
I wanted to bring it up because you have these feelings when you're having a conversation where it's highly engaging. So yeah, thank you for that. And I
you.
don't
No,
have a
thank you.
problem in being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Um, Absolutely not. That support is not offered. And that's why when I created Staffy, I wanted to offer the support to our internal staff as well. So we have psychologists on staff, not only are available to the representatives that are assigned to the small business owners, but to our own people. And I'm very big into hiring psychologists to my own team. I pay therapy to so many people who work for Staffy because I find it's so important. You want to work on those things that maybe in your traumas or how do I call it, like roadblocks that you have internally,
Like
limiting beliefs
limiting
that you
limiting beliefs, isn't it? I
have.
suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to offer that because they're going to become better employees, they're going to become happier, and when you're happier, when you're more joyful, you are it is tightly related to productivity and to results. And when you're not at a good place mentally, emotionally,
Yeah.
you're not going to do good work.
Yeah.
And I never got that support. And I always think that large corporate America, if they've hired support, even assistants, if they are hired assistants to salespeople, if they hired assistants to executives, they're going to free up their time and be able
Yeah.
to do so much more impactful work for the corporation as well. I remember I had to, there was a point where I was doing sales and I had to go and come back from these trips and spend so much time in doing expense reports, right? and those things can be done by a
Yeah.
administrative
Yeah.
assistant easily. And I would hire my own. I always hired my own to do, because I'm like, I'm not spending my time. I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
spend my time being the top salesperson. And then that's also the things that got me promoted, right?
Yeah.
But yes, to answer your question, I always hire that type of support on my
For
own.
yourself, you've invested in yourself.
Yeah.
And I suppose, just going back to your point where you say that you're sort of investing in psychologists to build these, sort of overcome their limiting beliefs, or to empower them to have maybe a growth mindset. But I think, and you said to be better employees, but I would go one step further than that, because I think maybe you're not giving yourself enough credit for what you're doing, because you're not just making them better employees, you're making them better people, and that will translate into their family life as well. I'm highly sort of sure of that, they're not just going to have that sort of advice and therapy given to them at work and leave it at work. It's going to help them not just at work, but through the rest of like
Absolutely.
every interaction they have with every other person. So I think it's more than you're doing more than just for making good employees. I think you're making better people personally, but that's just my
Yeah.
personal
No,
view.
absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose one of the other things that I wanted to ask was, oh, obviously we've spoken about the turning point for you in terms of your executive career and that leading into Staffy because of the pregnancy. Have there been any other sort of challenging moments for you throughout your career where you've just thought, do you know what, like that was a really bad time, or that was a really challenging time, or on the flip side, any breakthrough moments where you've just thought, oh, that's been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I had a few scare moments in my journey. I would say that one of them was because even though, okay, look, I am here talking about delegating and that you should do that and you should live a balanced life. A lot of times, even in my life, it's not that balanced, right?
Right.
And we have to, and we're always, I feel that balance is never an end achieved goal.
No.
You're always every day trying to find that balance. And that's going to be throughout our entire lives. And some days I have that perfect balance. Some other days I'm working hard. Some other days I can get lighter days.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing I've learned though is I don't want to have hard days every day. I don't
Yeah.
want to have to push through every day. And I used to years ago.
Hmm.
I was providing that balance to our clients and not doing it for myself.
Hmm.
One example is that I even posted on LinkedIn the other day is like I used to feel guilty to go to the gym during work
Saw
hours.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing that for my clients
Yeah.
until I was inspired by one of our clients, and I started doing that for myself. So now every day at 9 a.m. I go to the gym. I have an appointment with my trainer, um, and things like that. So that was a big moment for me when I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. I had a lot of pain. I've always been very active. I've always loved to work out, and it was a point that was hard for me to go up and down the stairs to type on my
Wow.
computer. And I thought I had arthritis. I didn't know what I had. It was terrible. I went through many doctors. And when I was very lucky that my best friend had Lyme disease, and she was diagnosed 6 months before, I called her and said,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
living I'm miserable, and this is what's happening with me. And she's like, wow, it seems like you have Lyme.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm so lucky that I went to the doctor, that she went to a doctor in Chicago. I was diagnosed, and since then I've been in treatment. I am so much better. I'm not 100% yet, but I feel like I'm 90% there. Um, but that brought a big opportunity in my life to be able to rethink my entire life. I
Yeah.
was working way too hard. I was pushing through my pain, and I was forced to stop.
Yeah.
And I did that, and as a result, I feel like I'm a much more balanced person. I have much more joy. I feel happier. I feel more accomplished, and I feel that I can inspire other
Yeah.
women.
And I think often you need that. I'm sorry, I've made you cry twice now. I think
You're a very
sometimes.
good interviewer.
Sorry. Um, yeah, have a break if you need. I was going to say sometimes you do have that where your body tells you need to stop, and I do think it's a female thing. Unfortunately, I think we just, because we're so used to doing everything for everyone, we put ourselves on the back burner, and we
Yes.
just think, yeah, I'll sort myself out afterwards. I just need to keep doing this, and then something happens, and then like you say, you reevaluate your life, and you think, what am I doing this all for? I'm working all these hours, I'm making all this money, and I for a better life. Is this that better life?
Yes.
Is this it? And I think it takes a certain kind of person to actually take that as a reset and think, you know what, I need to change something. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that will happen to, and they'll just think, well, that's just part of it, let's go again. So I think you should have, I've got utmost admiration for yourself for having something like that happen, seeing it as not, obviously at the time it probably was very challenging, but then also overcoming it and just being able to change strategic direction and think, I'm not going to let that stop me. I'll just do something different,
Yeah.
and that's
Thank
that. And you mentioned about inspiring people. I think that alone is such an inspirational message, that to go through something like that, and you're so lucky that your friend had it. I mean, she's probably not lucky that she had it.
you. Yes.
However,
Right. Right. Right.
between the
It's
two of
funny
you,
to say that. Yeah.
yeah. So, but it's so good, timely, that you, like, she's had it so at a similar time, that you've got your early diagnosis and potential like treatment. And like you say, from being somebody very active to then be not able to walk up the stairs, not only is that physically affecting you, but I can only imagine what it would do to you mentally when you're not the person you are, the person you are in your head, but
Yeah.
physically and mentally you're not anymore. And I would assume you're obviously much young, like you were younger then, and you just think, is this life? Is this what I'm working for?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think, like, I can just want to commend you on that, really.
Thank
And
you.
then the other thing that I wanted to ask was, knowing what you know now, what advice? I mean, I think we've kind of covered the delegation aspect of sort of what people should try and just delegate what they can, basically, to make themselves more efficient. But putting the delegation aside, is there any advice that you would give to people that are looking at either that they've got their own businesses, they're looking to start their own businesses, or they're entrepreneurs? So what would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Hmm. I would say being busy is not synonymous of success or
Yeah,
productivity. I think I used to think that the busier I was, the more successful I felt, or I felt the more productive. And now I think the opposite. I feel like the less busy I can make myself, the more intelligent I am, because the more I can delegate to others and I can use that time to live life, enjoy life, or what have you. I can think great strategy ideas for my business as well. But I think that enjoying life is so important. It's more important that you may think, and having pleasure
yeah,
and being present in the moment with your daughter, with yourself, with nature. I think those things are so important right now for me.
and they're priceless, aren't they? They're priceless.
Yeah, so that's a big realization that I came with by
Hmm.
after having been diagnosed with Lyme disease.
Yeah,
So that's a big one. I think the other thing is listen to your body. Your body is such a good indicator of what you need, and your body, your mind, your soul, it's all aligned. So, maybe I waited too long when I was having pains, and I would have waited less.
mm,
Well, nonetheless, I did go to the doctors and I did find out what I had. So I feel very proud of myself. There's
yeah,
people who push
absolutely.
through and they almost die, or they die
Yeah,
because they didn't go and listen to the signs of their bodies. There's a lot of women out there with cancer and things because what you said, as women, we tend to put ourselves last, and we have to change that. We have to
yeah.
to change that story.
Mm.
And I feel like start by listening to your body and listening to your joy. I would call maybe the joy thermometer, like how much
Yeah,
you're having in your life every day, because
yeah,
just on vacations is not enough,
yeah,
I always try to make a point to have joy every day in my life. Some days are harder than others because some days
yeah,
you're go go go, you're a business owner, you're a CEO. It's we are programmed to want to do more, you know, and
Yeah, yeah,
work hard. I have a tendency of being very hardworking myself. So I have to consciously tell myself, that's it.
yeah, yeah,
Phone is out there. I'm going to force myself now to get on another type of vibration. And then
yeah,
once
yeah,
you get in that vibration, you start having fun and joy. But sometimes to switch from the work mentality to like the fun and joy, it takes a little bit of conscious effort. And that's something, yeah, that I wish I had started doing earlier
before.
in my life. Yeah.
And I think with you saying in terms of, and I think it's very common with entrepreneurs where you think that if you work harder, that means success, and that's what you and really sort of stood out to me that because I sort of talk about that myself. But I think what's also to blame is, personally, in my opinion, is this whole like work. You know, you've got to work hard, play hard, and then also then the 5 a.m. club. You need to get up at 5 a.m. Get all this done before anybody else can, and it's that. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to be successful. And if you don't, you know, if you don't follow those things, and I think there was a point in time where that was all that was being churned out to my social media anyway. All the algorithms were showing me that I need to wake up earlier, I need to sort of work longer, I need to sort of just go as hard as I can because this is my time to make money or to run a business or whatever. And then I feel there's been quite a big shift over the past, I'd say, 2 years, where people are talking about burnout, talking about self-care, talking about investing in yourself. And it's really refreshing to see that, you know what, the narrative's changing now. Like the work hard, play hard probably aren't even here anymore because they work too hard. and then, and you
Yeah.
know, something's happened. Yeah, I don't know why I'm laughing about that, but anyway, you know, so they're not really here to like enjoy,
Yeah.
like you say, enjoy life and enjoy those little things like going for a walk in the park or just being able to like look out the window and just appreciate the nature that's around you, or to go on holiday and like, you know, just listen to the like the waves of the ocean. And I know it might sound cliche, but those are such precious things that people forget about. I think when you're in that sort of hustle and grind and you're like, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's just taking that reset. And like you say, like you said, move to a different vibration and
Yeah.
to allow yourself to just simmer down a little bit. And I
Yeah.
think like, with you saying that when and it like growth and business or anything, it isn't linear. It's not going to be a great day, great day, great day, great day. You know, it's going to be like this, and we all know that.
Yeah.
But then I think it's just when it's bad, just appreciate it's only bad for now. Tomorrow's a different day. You know, it's a different set of possibilities. And I think with like I said, with what you're saying, that you have to tell yourself now, like, do you know what? Like, I've come home. That's finished. That's like that's work, Raquel, done. This is now mom Raquel or wife Raquel or Raquel, like
Yeah.
you as a person.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. For me, anyway. I think from what I see on social media, that just to normalize that it's okay if you don't do 11-hour days. Actually, the winners are people that are doing 3 hours days. For example, I'm not saying you do 3 hours. However, the winners are people like yourself that are doing less but still getting the same output probably, but then with the less stress
Yeah.
and a better quality of life. And you can't put obviously a numerical value on a better quality of life. You just feel it,
Yeah.
you know, and you feel it, and it's difficult to probably get that across to somebody to say like, I just feel better. But then you know what that feels like, and I know what that feels like. Just when you feel like that, you say joy, I would say peace. Like, you know, and you just feel like
Yeah. Yeah.
content that, you know what, like it's okay. It's, you know, it's going to be okay. So the other thing that I wanted to ask was, do you do much reading? Is there any sort of books that you would recommend to anybody sort of listening that you think, you know what, you've absolutely got to read that because it was very sort of pivotal or influential in my life? Is there any books that you've come across like that?
Right now, I'm reading a book that is called, let me try to remember, it's The Self-Starting Child, I believe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I have to,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
it's fine.
I believe it's a Self-Starting Child. And
Yeah.
it's really good book if you're a parent and you want to raise kids who are self-starters, right? And who
Amazing.
are happy, who are not There's so much teenagers going through depression, going through anxiety, especially with social media.
Social
It's
media.
terrible. Um, and I try to limit all electronics that my daughter consumes and all of that. And I want to raise a happy child,
Yeah,
because I feel like what does it, how much, so many people out there that have so much money, but they're unhappy. So
unhappy.
the
Yeah,
whole thing that you're talking about, is it
mm.
worth building an empire if you're not doing well here
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
here? It's
absolutely.
not. And for me,
No.
it's not. So that's what I'm reading right now. And there's several. I do sometimes audiobooks, but I like to use a lot of my free time to just be in silent and to sit
Yeah,
and contemplate
yeah.
life and nature. A lot of the free time is not doing something, but trying to do less.
That's special in itself. I think to be in the place where you feel like that, from where you're saying that before, where you'd be thinking, I need to do something else, I need to do something else.
Yeah.
That I think that just shows a level of contentment, really, which is really special for me, anyway. Sort of listening
Thank
to
you.
that.
Yeah. For me too. Yeah.
And then, so what's next? Like, what's next for you? And I know we've spoken about how you're not wanting to do, the whole like I'm going to do this next, but is there anything next? Like,
Yeah, I want to, like you, I think we share different, similar aspirations and dreams. I really want to impact the life of women.
yeah,
Um, I feel that a lot of women are like us and that are overachievers, successful entrepreneurs. And a lot of what we achieved in our lives is following the footsteps of other men, leaders, and examples. They paved the way, but we're still doing things the way men do. And it's
yeah,
time to change that. It's time to
mm,
own that we're different. It's time to be holistic. That's why I created my newsletter, The Holistic Leader.
yeah,
And I want to impact and inspire women across the globe in finding the balance, finding what's true for themselves. Either is the way you lead in your authentic way, the way you're going to live your life, but allowing women to feel, helping women feel it's okay and it's important to incorporate our cycles, menopause, period, how we
yeah.
feel into how we live our lives, how we lead our business. And it could be very, very powerful. The more I respect the way that I feel and how I lead my business, with my gut feelings and following my intuition, the more powerful it becomes. And I want to help other women navigate through those things as well.
And I think like that's so special because as females, and I talk about this often at work, as females, I think we get the very much of the short straw in terms of health and everything. So, like you say, we've got puberty, then we've got periods, then we've got childbirth or pregnancy, which is a beautiful thing. But then it brings a whole host of other different things going on with your body, and your body's never the same afterwards. And I don't mean externally, I mean internally as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
You know, and then but then it's that's absolutely fine because obviously I think it's such a privilege to have a healthy pregnancy and to have a healthy child at the end of it. Then that in itself, I think we are very blessed to be able to do that. And I do say to my husband sometimes, if you could feel what this feels like, there's nothing else like that in the world for me ever. There's no feeling that would overcome the feeling when you feel sorry your baby move for the first time. And then you've got perimenopause, then you've got premenopause, perimenopause, menopause, and you just feel like you're just getting from bad to worse basically. And obviously the hormones affect you throughout those processes. And obviously when you're entering your working life, like so, and that might be at the time where you were I'm going to say normal, but as in like you weren't pregnant, then you've gone through the pregnancy process and you've now got a child at the other end of it, which brings a whole different kind of mental health, sort of, I don't want to say issues, but mental health changes. And then and that can affect how you are at work. And I think then you go on to the perimenopause and the menopause, and again, you're not those hormones are dictating what you are behaving like or acting like. And I think in a traditional environment, you're probably the first person that I've spoken to that is looking into, like you say, like the holistic side of things, where you're looking at, you know, like the menopausal woman or the postnatal woman. And I think there's not many environments that I know that sort of tailor to that, really, or sort of, you know, or not even tailoring it, just taking that into account, that as females things are different. We're not male. We can't just be like, okay, we've had a baby. Well, to be fair, most of us do as entrepreneurs. You have a baby, you go back to work because you just think, I've got to do it. But then we don't have those privileges that men have. And to be fair, I don't want those privileges that they have. But I think to be able to work like what you've just mentioned, to inspire, but to also potentially, with what you're saying, implement the changes in workplaces where they're taking that exactly what you're saying into account is really exciting, really, to hear that that's what your next steps are going to be.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank you today for your time, Raquel. It's been amazing. I apologise for making you cry twice. Not once. You don't know how to take that. I mean, you don't know how to take that, but like, I'm sorry.
Love it. I love it.
So if anybody's wanting to get in touch with you following this podcast, obviously talk about their virtual staffing, because I think you're doing yourself a disservice by saying it's this virtual staffing, because from what I've heard in the past 45 minutes, it's like a whole massive infrastructure, organization, academy. You know, you're getting more than just a VA, you're getting the whole, you know, the whole just holistic, you're getting everything. And I think that in itself is worth, you know, its weight in gold. So if someone was to want to contact you, is the best platform on your website, because I know you're very active on LinkedIn as well, where would you say they should contact you?
Yes, I think just to make it easier, you can go through our website. It's staffy.cc, so stafi.cc, and you can schedule a call and you can talk to us. And obviously, you're going to share the link for
Yeah.
my LinkedIn. I'd love to be connected.
Yeah, perfect. So like you just mentioned, I'll put all the contact details onto the transcript there on the sign on the show notes, so you can connect with Raquel on there and then have a little look at our website. So thank you again for your time today, Raquel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.